Hello, I'm Terri from Terri & Company Lawyers and Consultants. As a demonstration to our commitment to Indigenous business, my team and I have created Lawway, a guide to business and law. In this part of the Lawway series, I will be discussing Indigenous cultural and intellectual property protocols and the importance they play in your business. When working with Indigenous culture and the arts, it's important to understand protocols, that is, ways of respecting Indigenous intellectual property, traditional knowledge and cultural expression. Whether you are an artist, gallery or museum, developing protocols and systems can save you time and potential problems. The law often falls short of protecting Indigenous people's rights around traditional knowledge, cultural expression and IP. Protocols are used by businesses, art galleries, museums and archives to recognise these rights and to implement systems to protect and benefit Indigenous cultures. The more progressive collecting institutions have developed policies and protocols to deal with collecting, displaying, archiving and reproducing Indigenous works to ensure there is respect for culture. Indigenous organisations are also developing protocols and contracts for dealing with traditional knowledge and cultural expression recordings. Let's look at some examples of how we empower Indigenous businesses and organisations. A national institution that held a lot of Indigenous material, art, cultural objects, recordings and documents, wanted to set best practice for management, display and care of Indigenous cultural materials, but at the same time allow greater access to the collection in a culturally appropriate manner. The organisation, with assistance from Terri & Company, developed Indigenous cultural and intellectual property protocols together with deposit and clearance forms. Because the organisation was proactive, they were able to clearly set the protocols and processes before giving access to materials, avoiding any cultural controversy. In another example, Terri & Company worked with the Torres Strait Islander Language Project team who wanted to create teaching materials using the knowledge of Torres Strait Islander language and culture experts. The project team wanted to develop cultural protocols to recognise Torres Strait Islander custodianship over language and culture. With the help of Terri & Company, a written protocol was developed together with consent forms for individuals and community representatives. Important things to consider. If you're a gallery, library, archive or museum, how do your processes help protect Indigenous culture from being lost or used in the wrong way? If you're the holder or custodian of Indigenous culture, recordings, tradition, what are your cultural protocols? How do you let other people know how to look after your culture? Has your organisation, whether it's a language centre or media organisation, set out the agreed terms for sharing culture with others? We hope the Indigenous cultural and intellectual property information presented as part of our Lawway series has been a useful guide. Remember, it's a lot harder to get back Indigenous culture, intellectual property and cultural expression than to protect it in the first place. For more advice on protocols, policies and agreements for dealing with Indigenous knowledge and cultural expression or training, contact Terri & Company, Lawyers and Consultants. We can help you do more than avert risk or loss. We can help you establish leading practice.